A committee says they have landed on a possible new name for Grady High School.
And fans from thousands of miles away, when a football team learned they couldn't have a season of their own because of the coronavirus pandemic, they didn't throw in the towel. Instead, they decided to cheer on a local team.
11 Alive News Primetime on the ATL starts now.
First tonight in Primetime, police believe a man sneaking into women's cars, then forcing them to go get money, could be responsible for a third attack. They just released this sketch of the suspect today. This video was taken outside of a salon on Piedmont late last month. Robin says she had just finished getting her hair done when she got into her car and a stranger jumped into the passenger seat.
I went like this. He leaned over and grabbed me, yanked me back in the car and said, "Drive or I'll blow your effing head off."
Robin says he made her drive to an ATM to get cash, but then became apologetic, telling her his name is Robert and that he was just trying to support his 6-year-old son.
I did feel sorry for him. The detective, when I was telling them the story, said, "Robin, if I need to feed my children, I work overtime. There are jobs to be had." He said, "Don't you dare feel sorry for him."
Police say a similar scene played out at a gas station on Sidney Marcus Boulevard and in Sandy Springs, where a man attacked a driver at a condo neighborhood. Both times, police say a man forced the victims to take him to an ATM for cash. Robin told us the attack was so shocking because she is sure that she locked her other doors.
Police are saying that they are looking into the possibility that the attacker used a device of some kind to unlock her doors. Tracy Amick are looking into that for us tonight.
Do a quick search on eBay and you'll easily find signal replicators for sale that can allow someone to clone key fob signals and break into a car. Tech experts say some people can even build the device themselves, which reads the signal your key fob emits, then plays it right back, allowing them to easily unlock your door.
Most of these attacks are going to require someone to be very, very close to your vehicle. We're talking within a few feet.
But there are things you can do to protect yourself. Since they need to be so close to your car, you always want to be aware of your surroundings. Cybersecurity expert Patrick Kelly says you can also use something called a Faraday bag. It's a pouch like this enclosed in metal that blocks the signal from your key fob until you're close enough to safely get in. Kelly says you can also just stop using your fob altogether.
So you could always disable that function on the key fob to unlock the car, and either use a key or use the keypad that's on the vehicle.
Kelly says the cars most at risk for these attacks are models ranging from the late 90s to the early 2010s, with new technology now making keys smarter and cars safer.
We're just sort of in that space where convenience has a cost to it, and right now it's in the insecurity of these key fobs.
All right, we move on to politics now. Georgia voters have cast over 2 million votes already in the general election. That's according to the Secretary of State's latest numbers. And to put that in perspective, that's over a quarter of registered voters who have cast their ballot prior to Election Day. Today, Georgia Tech opened its early voting location at their basketball headquarters, their stadium, their auditorium. It's open again tomorrow from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Anybody in Fulton County can vote there early. There has been a big focus on voter access in Fulton County during the election. It's why they turned State Farm Arena into an early voting location with hundreds of voting machines available. As of yesterday, over 23,000 people had cast their ballots there, outpacing other voting locations in the county.
Fulton is one of several counties that tracks wait times for you online. DeKalb, Forsyth, Cobb, and Gwinnett also keep track. We have links to their online portals in our 11 Alive voter guide. You can find that on our website, 11alive.com/vote. You can also get that information sent straight to your phone. Just text the word election to 404-885-7600.
The presidential campaign's making another push to sway Georgia voters. Democratic Vice Presidential candidate Senator Kamala Harris will be in Atlanta on Friday. That same day, the president's eldest son, Donald Trump Jr., will be making stops in Atlanta and Macon. Senator Harris's visit will be the first stop in Georgia for the big names on the Democratic ticket. Republicans have made it a far more frequent campaign stop. President Trump has visited Georgia 3 times since July. Vice President Mike Pence visited once. Both campaigns have sent plenty of close friends and family to campaign here. Over the weekend, Senator Harris's husband, who is a Los Angeles attorney, was in Georgia. Jill Biden, Dr. Biden, was also in town recently. On the Republican side, several members of the Trump family have visited Georgia since September.
And here's a look at some other top headlines we are following for you today. Governor Brian Kemp has found the man to lead the state's rural economic development strike team. Tift County official Brian Marlowe will now act as deputy commissioner for rural Georgia and the leader of that strike team. Governor Kemp says the move will help spur economic growth and opportunity in rural Georgia. The goal is to bring significant economic projects to communities outside of major metro areas. That's a promise the governor made on the campaign trail. A search continuing now for a man accused of shooting his wife to death on Sunday in Polk County. Officers were searching near Highway 101 and Pleasant Valley Road in Floyd County yesterday, looking for any signs of Jimmy Blackman. If you live in the area of the search and have a trail camera, police are asking you to take a look at the video and report any suspicious activity. Blackman is believed to have one or more guns, so if you see him, call 911. Atlanta watershed workers fixing a series of unrelated water main breaks all around the city today. The water main break on Mason Avenue Northeast impacted the largest number of people. 25 homes in the Edgewood neighborhood were affected, but service is back on there. Crews also worked to fix the break on East Lake Drive Southeast and the break on Mount Perrin Parkway Northwest. You can check for updates on 11alive.com.
There's a major development in the opioid crisis. The maker of the painkiller OxyContin has agreed to plead guilty to 3 federal criminal charges. Purdue Pharma could pay up to $8 billion. That's $8 billion in this settlement. Now, OxyContin is blamed for sparking the opioid epidemic in the United States, an addiction crisis linked to nearly 500,000 deaths over the last 20 years. A number of states are not happy with the agreement, arguing there isn't enough accountability for the Sackler family, which owns Purdue Pharma. The deal does not release any of the Sacklers from criminal liability, and there is a criminal investigation going on right now.
The pandemic is not over. That's the message from the CDC and the Health and Human Services Secretary, the one that they made very clear today here in Atlanta. The goal was to give an update on COVID-19 and Operation Warp Speed, which is the plan to get a vaccine to millions by January. There is hope there will be a limited amount of vaccine available sooner.
A number of the clinical trials are ongoing and still in a fairly early phase. So I wish we had a crystal ball so that we could look at it. I wish I could say everything is going to go 100% according to plan. But we also know that we have to be ready for if it doesn't.
There could be 1 or 2 vaccines available by the end of the year. By March, they hope to have a vaccine available for all Americans.
COVID-19 numbers are now rising across the country. Long-term care facilities that already got hammered by the virus say they are bracing now for a 3rd wave as we head into the cold winter months. Caitlin Ross talked to care providers about what they are doing to try to prepare.
The National Healthcare Association says long-term care facilities need more staff, more PPE, and more testing to keep their residents safe. Many state facilities have been depending on money from the CARES Act. That will expire at the end of the year. The problem is that's when long-term care facilities worried they could be hit with a 3rd wave of the virus. Here in Georgia, the numbers inside long-term care facilities have been trending down, a welcome relief after they hit a peak in August. But as infections continue to climb nationally, the executive director of the Georgia Healthcare Association says that will be directly reflected in those long-term care facilities.
We certainly are concerned. Anytime you're entering a period where the flu season is typically going to impact our centers, we certainly are concerned that we would have both COVID and flu in the buildings.
He says the decrease in positive cases is partly due to funding from the CARES Act that allowed them to test all of their staff and residents, quickly isolating people who had been infected. But he says all of that takes money, and it's quickly running out.
This is turning out to be a long fight, that this will not be something that ends quickly.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about an additional relief package. There's no agreement yet, and the Senate Majority Leader just advised the White House today not to work on another package until after the election.
A push to change the name of a well-known Atlanta high school. Up next, we look at the big step in that direction.
How people in Metro Atlanta are standing in solidarity with the people of Nigeria after reports of deadly police brutality. Don't forget, we're streaming right now on the 11 Alive YouTube channel. You can join in on the chat in the community section. If you have something to chat about, we want to hear from you. We have more 11 Alive news in prime time after the break.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Prime Time, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household clean.
It has been a topic of discussion for years in Atlanta whether to change the name of Grady High School or not. It's named after Henry Grady, of course, the controversial figure in Georgia history because of his views on white supremacy in the late 1800s. Nick Sturdivant has more on the step that has taken in changing the school's name.
But we are here for a very important reason, is that we want to make sure that we have a name for our buildings, for our facilities, that is representative of our values.
Tuesday, the naming committee met with one goal: creating a new name for Henry W. Grady High School in Atlanta. The committee was appointed back in early March by Atlanta Public School Board Chair Jason Estevez. For years, there have been rumblings, debates, and even a petition over changing the name. The school is named after Henry Grady, well known in the Atlanta area. He was a journalist and editor who campaigned against equality for freed slaves.
Grady as a symbol represented, white supremacy, things like that.
The committee came into Tuesday's meeting with a narrow list of 5 potential names.
I do think someone like Ida B. Wells, who is a national figure, is healthy for us.
I believe the students and the faculty also believe that the name Midtown has a certain element of the values that they embrace.
In a majority vote, the committee decided to go with Ida B. Wells. The recommendation will now head to the school board for the final decision.
The committee also discussed the Atlanta School Board's desire to change the name of Grady Stadium. That is on delay right now.
Shock, anger, and horror. That's the reaction on social media to reports demonstrators were shot by soldiers in Nigeria amid protests over police brutality. The pain is being felt here in Metro Atlanta. Protesters gathered outside the consulate of Nigeria in Sandy Springs earlier today. Witnesses in Lagos say several people were wounded and killed Tuesday when soldiers barricaded a toll gate and opened fire. The continuing protests there have largely focused on a unit known as SARS, which has been accused of torture and extortion. 10 days ago, the Inspector General announced the unit was being disbanded, but the protests have continued with calls for more widespread reform. Advanced Nigeria organization is raising awareness in Metro Atlanta. Members say what's happening in Nigeria is a human rights issue that should not be tolerated anywhere.
Allowing injustice somewhere is going to create space for it to happen again somewhere else. We can't, it's not acceptable anywhere.
We all have the right to say when our government is not providing the basic
things that they're supposed to provide for us as citizens, we have the right to protest peacefully, and that there's no crime in that.
I'm meteorologist Chris Holcomb from the 11 Alive Storm Trackers. If you're thinking it was kind of warm today, you are right. We are much warmer than where we should be for this time of year. We got up to 81 degrees for a high temperature. And if you're wondering where we should be as we're getting closer to the end of October, our average high for this time of year is 71. So we were actually 10 degrees above average today with that high of 81 degrees. And the morning low this morning was also 10 degrees above average. We were at 62 to start the day this morning, and we should be around 52 for this time of year. And it's going to be mild again tomorrow too, and warm again. We do think we'll make it into the lower 80s again tomorrow, so another above average day. Still watching our surplus. It's still a big surplus, but it's just shrinking a little bit each day that we don't get any rain. We're about 17.5 inches above where we should be in rainfall for the year. Here's what we're watching over the next 12 hours through the evening hours. Temperatures will remain near 70 through about 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and then move into the 60s, we think, late tonight and during the overnight hours, and then not falling a lot overnight, but just kind of coming down a little bit to around 63 degrees early in the morning. And also tomorrow morning, with that easterly flow continuing, we'll see just a few clouds that'll be mixing in with that sunshine. But the rain chance on Thursday is really going to be on the low end. We're just going up to a 20% chance for a shower for Thursday, and that means I really think most of us will make it through the day with no rain at all. We start off at 63 in the morning. Again, that's above average. Staying above average in the afternoon with highs near 80 with sunshine mixing in with clouds and just a really low rain chance at 20%. Here's the easterly flow that we have. And what's happening is it just picks up some of that Atlantic moisture. There's been more cloud cover in South Carolina and along the Georgia coast. And then those clouds just keep trying to push into our area. At times they break up. At times they hold together. In the morning, we'll see a mixture of sunshine and clouds around. And you're not seeing a lot of green on the map here for the morning or in the lunchtime hour. Just a few clouds mixing in with the sunshine. But in the afternoon, still not a lot of green, but there is some showing up here. And this is where we think that we might see a few isolated showers. See, not a big coverage of that. And I really think most of those will be maybe to the west and to the south of us. We might see a little isolated shower here in metro Atlanta through the evening hours. And then as we head into Friday, I do think we'll see a little better coverage of clouds around, not as much sunshine, and we'll hold on to that 20% chance for showers on Friday. And then the rain chance comes up just a little bit more as we head into Saturday, up to about a 40% chance for showers. But when you see that rain chance, I want you to know it's not a washout. It's not going to rain all day Saturday. We're just talking about a few scattered showers. So 80 for highs Thursday and Friday with a 20% chance for rain. 40% chance on Saturday, and then back to a 30% chance Sunday. And folks, I'm going to tell you, the computer models are not in agreement at all for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. At this point, we're going to hold on to a 30% chance for showers with highs in the upper 70s Monday and Tuesday, mid 70s on Wednesday, and most likely we're going to be fine-tuning those rain chances over the next few days.
All right, we all wish the Braves win the World Series, but Dog fans are still happy to root for Dodgers pitcher Alex Wood. He's back in the World Series, and a couple of UGA coaches told us they are not surprised he's chasing greatness.
If we needed a big game, he was the guy.
From the classic city to Hollywood, former UGA pitcher Alex Wood in his second World Series with the Dodgers.
When he got that baseball in his hand, man, he was competitive.
The only difference this time, he is watching it from the bullpen. It is the latest chapter in his journey defined by uncertainty.
It hasn't been easy for him. He's gone through a major surgery. He's got the irregular delivery.
Wood was the Dogs' top prospect in 2010.
Went and saw him in that fall. We were sold.
Former UGA head coach David Perno was especially struck by Wood's delivery.
Some call it porky or whatever, but it was him. Created some deception.
An uncertain delivery led to uncertain health. Wood had Tommy John surgery after high school, but still pitched 2 seasons at UGA. A defining moment going up against future superstar Garrett Cole.
Wood outdueled him. Everyone kind of realized Alex Wood is a guy.
He was drafted by the Braves, then traded to Los Angeles.
Alex Wood and Freddie, former teammates.
It became a force, but injuries forced Wood to the bullpen.
It's just a change in mentality. Fully expect him to be in a rotation next year.
Scott Strickland coaches the Dogs now, but he knows Wood well.
Being a professional is getting your job done. Whatever job is given to you, You get your job done.
That work has paid off as the Dodgers chased their first World Series title since 1988.
I talked to him last night. You know, his message was, hey, it's time to get a ring.
A chance at history and a chance at redemption.
He's gonna do what it takes to help the Dodgers win a World Series.
A Metro Atlanta high school is thanking a team out in California for unexpected words of encouragement. This week, the athletic director at Greater Atlanta Christian School received a video. It was from the coach and players at Big Valley Christian School in Modesto, California. They decided to send words of encouragement to football teams all over the country who are playing fall football. It was a way to do something positive after finding out their season was canceled because of the pandemic. Their message, be grateful for what you have.
We thought we'd have a good full season this year. Even though COVID happened months ago, we thought we'd have a full season. So just remember, you never know, anything could be shut down, and work hard out there.
God's blessing this week, and lastly, go Spartans. Beat the Saints!
The team at GAC loved the message and decided they should send back one of their own.
Thank you so much. Your video was absolutely awesome today. A tremendous blessing to us as a team, certainly our coaching staff, that you guys would take a bad situation and make it something out of it positive really meant a lot to us.
The team says this little bit of encouragement from strangers thousands of miles away has made all of the difference.
A judge rules that grand jurors in the Brianna Taylor case can now speak publicly. How Taylor's family is responding to one juror's statement. That's coming up next.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people, or are you doing this to make money, or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscast not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find.
The family of Brianna Taylor is speaking out following a major development in the case. In a rare move, a judge has cleared the way for members of the grand jury that heard the case to speak publicly. Typically, grand jury proceedings are kept secret. Meanwhile, one of the officers involved in the case has broken his silence. Here's NBC's Blaine Alexander.
This morning, in an extremely rare and potentially revealing move, a judge has ruled the 12 grand jurors who heard evidence in the Brianna Taylor case are free to speak publicly. So far, 2 have chosen to stay anonymous, but according to their lawyer, are willing to talk.
They wanted to contribute to the truth and transparency of this proceeding for the benefit of the whole community.
3 officers carried out the raid on Taylor's apartment back in March, one charged with wanton endangerment for shots that entered a neighboring apartment. But the grand jury did not indict any of the officers in Taylor's death. Now, in a bombshell statement, one of those jurors writes, questions were asked about additional charges, and the grand jury was told there would be none because the prosecutors didn't feel they could make them stick. Adding, the grand jury didn't agree that certain actions were justified, nor did it decide the indictment should be the only charges in the Brianna Taylor case. Tamika Palmer is Brianna Taylor's mother.
So when you first read that statement, was that surprising to you?
Not at all. There's no way that, in my opinion, that he could have presented all those facts and nothing came from that.
The use of force.
In a statement, Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron writes, "It was my decision to ask for an indictment on charges that could be proven under Kentucky law. Indictments obtained in the absence of sufficient proof under the law do not stand up." Cameron has said the officers were justified in shooting because Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, fired first, wounding an officer. Walker said he thought it was a home invasion and that officers never announced themselves, but police say they did. Now the officer who was hit is speaking out for the first time.
It's not a race thing like people want to try to make it to be. It's not. This is a point where we were doing our job, we returned fire. This is not us going hunting somebody down. This is not kneeling on a neck.
Now Taylor's family demanding a special prosecutor take over the case.
I hope to have this thing start over because it's been done wrong from the very beginning.
The pandemic has only worsened the situation for Atlanta's homeless, but there are efforts underway to try and help. Next, the plan to get almost 1,000 people off the streets by the end of the year.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
More people and families are homeless in Atlanta because of the pandemic, and significantly more. The Gateway Homeless Center says since last year, there's been about a 30% increase in the number of people forced out on the streets. Bill Liss, along with photo ace Stephen Boise, have taken an in-depth look at what's being done to help.
Since the COVID-19 pandemic began, volunteer organizations keeping count of the unsheltered homeless in downtown Atlanta say their numbers have swelled to more than 1,000. Organizations like Gateway Center started a massive testing program, the first of its kind in the country. And with its partners, they found a downtown hotel to house people who tested positive and a second one for the general unsheltered population. The organizations say they took hundreds of homeless off the streets. And now, with more than $18 million in public funding, they're in need of more available and accessible space.
We have a chance to literally put hundreds of people in units that are on the streets.
But the president of Gateway, Raphael Holloway, says there's still a major obstacle.
But we really need the apartment community to work with us to accept these types of programs on their properties. We are experiencing a lot of renter bias. There are some individuals and companies that do not want to lease to people who are formerly homeless.
The chairman of Gateway, Jack Harden, says that with major funding now available, they've come up with a strategy.
So we're reaching out to a larger network of landlords, utilizing our existing relationships and seeking to expand those. We're also using a strategy called rapid rehousing, in which we put people in apartments and subsidize the rent. And then over time, we will move them from the rapid rehousing units into vouchered units.
How long have you been out here?
Long enough, long time.
An important key to getting the unsheltered off the streets is an intensive effort to make personal contact and conduct one-on-one evaluations. The latest approach is coming from Marta. It's a program called Marta Hope, and it was launched in August. The head of Marta Customer Service, Rhonda Allen, says that since the program began, it's already been successful with more than 50 homeless passengers. Marta and Hope Atlanta teams meet with the homeless along Marta's train and bus routes.
And we find that people would seek refuge on a Marta train or a Marta bus or a Marta bench at a bus stop because they, feel they can kind of blend in perhaps, or they maybe have no other, nowhere else to go. Sometimes it takes multiple engagements to build trust with some of the individuals and to let them know that there are resources available to them. So the intent, though, is to really connect them with the other social services or temporary or permanent housing.
Combined with Marta's new initiative are aggressive efforts on downtown streets, leading one intensive downtown outreach effort to engage and re-engage unsheltered homeless with services that they vitally need is Tammy Hughes of Central Atlanta Progress.
We are out engaging, and we have a number of cell phones that we allow access and allow our homeless citizens to connect with their case managers or their therapists. We have a tablet to do those virtual telemedicine meetings and appointments.
With individual counseling continuing round the clock, both on the ground and on Marta, and with significant additional funding, the golden ring is still additional and accessible housing. Jack Harden predicts that 800 unsheltered homeless will be in housing by year end, with another 1,200 in housing by the end of next year.
During this pandemic, it's good to see that people are thinking about others who are still in need, even as so many other people deal with their own situations, kind of getting beyond ourselves and thinking about what's going on for others.
I always find myself, every time I'm stopped at a light near a viaduct, I'm thinking about Cheshire Bridge Road and I-85, Buford Highway, that area right through there. If you look beyond, I mean, you will see these sort of tent communities that are staggering. I mean, they're astonishing. I think a lot of us, perhaps, who are just, driving a lot and in the middle of traffic and all, not thinking about how many people are out there. It used to be a few homeless people, that would come up to your car at lights, but now, Jennifer, there's so many people in Atlanta that are homeless now, that are living in these tents and shopping carts nearby. It really is very sobering.
Yeah, and if you think about what other people are going through, so many people losing jobs, concerned about their health, imagine what they are dealing with out there.
Well, that's fair. Well. Look, most people don't operate with a net. The difference between, having some success and having a stable place to live and being homeless is pretty narrow. It's pretty thin. I think a lot of people, prefer not to think about that, but that is the hard, cold, stark reality in this country.
Yeah, we have much more information on what's going on our website, 11alive.com. Well, the number of new COVID-19 cases, active patients, and deaths have remained fairly steady the past few weeks, but we're still not below the levels in March that shut down our communities. Reveal investigator Rebecca Lindstrom talked with one paramedic about his unique perspective that he's seeing through the rush to get help for those who are critically ill.
When I was 18 and fresh out of high school, I was terrified of needles, terrified of blood.
Isaac Kelly planned to become a school teacher. Then both of his grandmothers got sick.
Helping my family take care of them, watching them slave over every decision and not know the answers. I wanted to be the one that knew what to do.
Since this pandemic began, more than 30,000 people in Georgia have gone to the hospital, some in a Metro Atlanta ambulance with Kelly there to help. More than 7,600 people have died, and Kelly has been there for that too.
We saw a patient on a Monday that had a fever and thought, I'm concerned that this may be the virus.
The man didn't want to go to the hospital. 6 days later, Kelly was back. The man had gone into cardiac arrest and died.
That's really when, my partner and I looked at each other and we went, this is the real deal.
Kelly is 27. His age group leads in the number of COVID cases. While less likely to die, the virus can still be tough to beat. He's watched for weeks as a coworker shares her personal struggle on social media.
Very nearly had to be put on a ventilator, and she still can't make it up a flight of stairs without stopping halfway. I asked her, I was curious, I said, so compare this to the flu. And she said, it's like the flu that doesn't end.
More than 20,000 Georgia healthcare workers have tested positive. We don't know how many are paramedics. SARS, MRSA, and Ebola help train staff for this moment, but COVID is far more prevalent.
So now every patient contact, we wear an N95 mask, we wear a face shield or eye protection at a minimum. If we suspect they may have COVID-19, we go add a gown.
COVID still accounts for more than 11% of hospital patients. In the central part of the state, it is even greater. Kelly worries what history will say when it tells the story of this pandemic.
My fear is that we're going to realize when this is over, when we learn more about the data, that we lost a lot of people that we didn't have to lose because people weren't taking just the small steps, the small precautions, weren't taking it seriously.
Henry County is ready to welcome back high school students whose parents have chosen the in-person option. Starting Monday, they will return to the classroom 5 days a week. This is the final phase of the hybrid learning plan, and as with other districts, this is optional. According to the district, 36% of families opted for in-person learning. The number of states dealing with a significant increase in coronavirus cases is now growing. More than half the country has seen a jump in some areas, infections higher than they've been since the start of the pandemic. And there's new information tonight on how children are adding to that toll. Jay Gray has the details.
A frantic rush in hospitals across the country intensifying, along with the rate of infection. COVID cases climbing in 39 states now.
We in the United States, sadly, are now between 50 and 60,000 cases per day.
The Midwest is seeing the worst of it. Chicago with an increase of more than 500 cases a day. The positivity rate in Missouri above 21%. Nebraska and Wisconsin running short on hospital beds.
In my 34 years as a physician, I have never seen so much suffering from a single disease over such a short period of time.
A growing number of those suffering, kids. New data from the American Academy of Pediatrics shows a 13% increase in children infected over the first 2 weeks of October.
But we still see school athletic events and things like that where we see people crowding together. We see very few masks, even though I keep preaching it.
COVID fatigue, colder weather, keeping people indoors, and families gathering for the holiday season, all factors that doctors worry will keep pushing infections higher.
Don't let your guard down. It comes as an innocent idea of coming up to the cabin for a weekend and can end up in a family tragedy with somebody becoming ill or dying.
The best way to limit that threat, clean your hands, cover your nose and mouth, and keep your distance.
Coming up, we're following the money, a look at just how much local candidates have spent on ads. It is a king's ransom. It's amazing what they're trying to do to influence your vote. And money, money, money makes the world go round.
Plus, we'll have more on the latest push for a COVID-19 vaccine. One company now researching its effects on children. And there are just 2 more days left for you to enter our Oh Say Can You Sing contest. This year, as we all know, the AJC Peachtree Road Race has gone virtual, and so is our annual contest. So if you're selected, you could virtually perform the national anthem at the world's largest 10K or for the Peachtree Junior. All you have to do is email a video of yourself singing the national anthem to contest@11alive.com. You have to do that by noon on Friday, October 23rd. That is this Friday. We have more information on the contest on 11alive.com.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both.
Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers.
Now to some other big headlines we are following for you tonight. Lawyers say they can't find the parents of 545 migrant children who were separated from their families at the border. About 2/3 of those parents were deported to Central America, according to a filing by the American Civil Liberties Union. The Trump administration instituted a zero-tolerance policy in 2018 that separated migrant children from their parents at the border. The ACLU says children whose parents have yet to be found are living with foster parents or distant relatives. San Francisco leaders have approved hate crime legislation that allows people to sue over racist 911 calls. The Caution Against Racial and Exploitive Non-Emergencies Act, or the Karen Act, gives the targets of the calls the ability to file a lawsuit against the caller. The law comes amid a national reckoning on race sparked by the police killings of Black Americans and instances where white people called for officers to investigate people of color. The drug maker Pfizer has plans to start testing its experimental coronavirus vaccine on children as young as 12. This will be the first coronavirus vaccine trial to include children in the United States. A team at Cincinnati Children's Hospital will begin vaccinating 16 and 17-year-old volunteers this week and will move to enroll 12 to 15-year-olds later. Pfizer is in phase 3 of clinical trials in the United States and has enrolled close to 38,000 volunteers in its trials.
I'm meteorologist Chris Holcomb from the 11 Alive Storm Trackers. You know, we've been enjoying some nice dry weather, and on our moisture map, the dry air is indicated by the blue colors and even the purple colors, which are like very dry. And we've been noticing this moisture that has been increasing a little bit in our area, mainly in the form of just a few extra clouds. And in central Georgia and South Georgia, a little more moisture there, and they have had a few scattered showers there. We have been dry here, but just a few more of those clouds that have been moving in. Also, the relative humidity levels have been coming up a little bit, with the dew points coming up as well. During the day tomorrow, it's going to be very similar to what we had today, a mix of sun and clouds. We are introducing a 20% chance for a shower tomorrow. I really think most of that will be on the south side, and most of us will make it through the day with no rain at all. Going into Friday, we're going to hold on to a 20% chance for showers. It looks like most of this moisture is going to remain along the coastline of Georgia and South Carolina, and then also in the Gulf Coast region. And that Gulf moisture is not making it our way. It's just mainly this easterly flow that's in our area that's giving us those the higher moisture content in the air. On Saturday, again, as you can see, it's not a widespread coverage of tropical moisture or anything. We're just going to go with the 40% chance for showers here, and then on Sunday back down to a 30% chance, and then maybe even a little drier Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with low rain chances into next week as well. And our computer models aren't totally in agreement about what's going to happen next week, but at this point we're going to go with those low rain chances next week too. And you can kind of see what we're watching with the dew points. That's the amount of moisture, how we measure the amount of moisture in the atmosphere, and it's showing us pretty much holding with those dew points in the 60s, going up a little bit, and that corresponds with the rain chances that'll be going up a little bit as well. So we're going to continue with above average temperatures. You know, today we're in the lower 80s. Tomorrow I think we'll hit 80 degrees once again, and that's trending about 9-10 degrees above where we should be. Rain chances are going up, but they're not going up drastically. It's low rain chances, and it's not going to be a weekend washout. Even though our highest rain chances are going to be on Saturday afternoon at a 40% chance, it's still going to be a day with a lot of dry hours with just a few of those scattered showers around. So we're going to go with an 8 on the wasometer here for your Thursday. Low rain chance at 20%, high temperatures way above the average, going up to about 80 degrees. So here's that 7-day outlook. You see us holding on to the 20% chance for showers on Friday, a high of 80 degrees. And then on Saturday, again, not a washout. That's just that day with the highest rain chance at 40%, highs near 79 degrees. And then Sunday back down to a 30% chance for a shower with a high of 78. We are most likely going to be fine-tuning these rain chances going into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday as the computer models hopefully get into a little better agreement about what to expect. Right now we're going with a 30% chance for showers. We may be increasing that a little bit depending on what those models show us, but temperatures upper 70s Monday and Tuesday, then trending back down to the mid 70s by Wednesday.
All right, whether you're watching TV, scrolling on your phone, or listening to the radio, politics are everywhere. It is a sport in America, just as people follow Major League Baseball, the NFL, and the NBA. They follow politics that way these days. It hasn't always been that way. The city is being saturated with politics as far as messaging goes. So how much are candidates spending? A lot. Here's Natisha Lance following the money.
Election rallies, meet and greets, and door-to-door campaigning put on pause during the pandemic. would love for people to be on the doors, and you can, from a statistical standpoint, increase a person's likelihood of turning out to vote more if they are personally on the doors. But I also want this to be done safely. And so you can still increase voter turnout through other personal means of contact.
From TV to radio and digital ads, candidates have shelled out so much money during this election, the amount is expected to shatter records. The Center for Responsive Politics projects $10.8 billion will be spent on the 2020 election. For perspective, $7 billion was spent during the 2016 election. NPR reports Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden and President Trump have spent a combined $1 billion on ads, with Biden leading the way.
I'm Carolyn Bordeaux.
Here in Georgia, candidates invested big on the airways too.
He thrives as an ER doctor.
If there weren't competitive races, you wouldn't see candidates and outside groups investing as much money.
In Georgia's 7th congressional district, Democrat Carolyn Bordeaux and Republican Rich McCormick have spent more than $5 million combined. And in the 6th district, Democratic Congresswoman Lucy McBath's campaign has spent more than $5.7 million, and Republican Karen Handel $1.8 million.
And we have more specific breakdowns on the money being spent to try to wrestle your vote in the story on 11alive.com. We have a great resource for you, 11 Alive's Voter Access Guide. It breaks down the information you need for the election, from casting an absentee ballot to finding out wait times online for early voting. We can even send it right to your phone. Just text the word election to 404-885-7600.
Testing Georgia's rape kit backlog helped law enforcement identify more than a dozen repeat sexual offenders. Now there's more federal money to get behind the effort.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people, or are you doing this to make money, or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Fulton County is getting $2 million in federal funds with the goal of working through a backlog of unexamined rape kits. As of today, that backlog is more than 1,500.
The hope is the money will speed up the work. It will support the Sexual Assault Kit Initiative Task Force for the next 3 years. The task force's primary goal was to work through a backlog of rape kits that had never been tested. The kits were found at Grady Hospital in 2015. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation worked through all of those kits and handed them off to the district attorney to work unsolved cases. The DA's office says so far more than 150 cases have been identified, as well as 16 repeat sexual offenders. We've been following the story since February. At that time, the GBI said the number of untested rape kits was going up again. They predicted a backlog of 2,000 cases by the end of this year. Again, as of today, they have more than 1,500 kits waiting to be tested.
There are limits even for the president. Ahead, our Why Guy explains why the president can only serve for 2 terms.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
Many of the names on this November's ballot are candidates running for re-election. Members of Congress can run as many times as they so choose, but not the president. The occupant of the White House is limited to 2 terms, but why? Here's our Why Guy.
There are limits, even for the president. By law, the President of the United States can serve no more than 2 4-year terms. It hasn't always been that way, and it's not the way our founding fathers designed it. So let's look at why. According to the National Constitution Center, many framers of the Constitution wanted Congress to select the president, who would serve a lifetime appointment. Others feared that would produce the American equivalent of a monarchy, like the one we'd left behind in Britain, so the idea died. Although there were no limits, President George Washington declined a 3rd term. It set a trend that lasted until President Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Presidents before FDR had stepped away after 2 terms, FDR does 4 terms.
It was a period of incredible turmoil. The country was embroiled in a war and the Great Depression when voters elected Roosevelt time and time again. It was death that took him from the White House during his 4th term. University of Georgia political science professor Charles Bullock says Roosevelt's political foes wanted a change.
Because he's a Democrat. Well, as soon as Republicans win control of Congress in 1947, they push this through. They don't want to see a potential another FDR.
The change is the 22nd Amendment to the Constitution that was ratified in February of 1951. It reads that, quote, no person shall be elected to the office of president more than twice. Over the years, several members of Congress have proposed repealing the 22nd Amendment to lift term limits for the president. The most recent effort was in 2013. None of the proposals made it very far.
11 Alive News Primetime on the ATL starts now.
The goal, 1 million Black-owned businesses by 2030. How an Atlanta nonprofit is helping minority entrepreneurs after COVID-19 dealt a crushing blow.
Senator Kamala Harris will be in Atlanta Friday, stumping for Joe Biden. Will she be forced to play cleanup after Thursday's presidential debate in Georgia? But first tonight, folks, one of the most watched congressional races in America is in Atlanta suburbs.
This week, CNN ranked Georgia's 7th district as most likely to flip from Republican to Democrat in November. Its current congressman, Republican Rob Woodall, is retiring. 11 Alive's Doug Richards is looking at who aims to replace him.
This is a race where Republicans are trying really hard to prevent a district that supported Hillary Clinton 4 years ago from electing a Democrat next month. Republican Rich McCormick's campaign pages are full of tough guy videos, showing him doing push-ups with his volunteers, showing him doing push-ups while upside down, depicting him playing rugby against hapless opponents. He is an emergency room physician and an ex-Marine who backs President Trump and his handling of the pandemic.
I think the resources have always been there. I think we've provided enormous resources to the public, and then we pushed it down to state control. I was student body president at Morehouse School of Medicine.
Yet during a debate last week, McCormick never mentioned President Trump as he faced off against Democrat Carolyn Bourdeaux.
And we are out here today.
Bourdeaux nearly won the congressional seat 2 years ago. She campaigned near an early voting site in Gwinnett today, a county that supported Democrat Stacey Abrams 2 years ago. And she says the pandemic is the top issue with voters.
There has just been this concerted effort by both the president and my opponent to downplay this pandemic. And now we have 220,000 Americans who are dead because of it.
This week, Republican Marjorie Greene endorsed McCormick in a tweet. Greene is the unopposed Republican candidate for Congress in Northwest Georgia who has talked up a shadowy right-wing entity called QAnon. Unlike Senator Kelly Loeffler, McCormick did not engineer a press conference announcing Greene's support. Bourdeaux says he didn't have to.
This was coordinated, and this was an effort to kind of dog whistle to those voters.
As far as QAnon, I don't really know what that means. I'm not sure. I don't follow what Marjorie does, nor do I follow what any other congressman does, really.
You've appeared a couple of times on a YouTube channel called The Patriot Soapbox, which has reportedly had ties to QAnon.
Everybody says it's this thing, it's a conspiracy theory, but I kind of laugh because I think it's a conspiracy theory to think that because I appeared on a radio station that I support something that I don't even understand.
Well, it's pretty clear that their ideas are very closely aligned.
When I asked both candidates in the race which of them is the underdog, neither one of them would answer. That's how close they think it is.
Senator Kamala Harris will be in Atlanta on Friday, and it's the first time she or presidential candidate Joe Biden visited Georgia during the 2020 election. Now, recent polls show Biden and President Trump tied in Georgia. By the way, Bill Clinton was the last Democrat to win Georgia in a presidential election, but he then lost the state in his bid for re-election 4 years later. Senator Harris was in North Carolina today, and she talked about tomorrow night's presidential debate.
How is Biden preparing to take on very personal attacks that the Trump campaign and President Trump may wage at him tomorrow at the debate?
I mean, listen, Joe Biden knows that what the American need to hear is they need to hear a conversation about how we're going to put food on the American table when people are standing in food lines. He knows that people want to hear about how we're going to help working people get through the end of the month and pay their rent. That's what people care about. And, you know, one of the things I love about Joe Biden, he doesn't take on or talk about other people's kids.
Harris's trip to Georgia comes the day after the final presidential debate. NBC News' Kristen Welker will moderate this live from Nashville, and you can tune in to 11 Alive starting at 8 p.m. for the special primetime coverage.
I'm meteorologist Chris Holcomb from the 11 Alive Storm Trackers, enjoying a really nice night out there. Mostly clear skies, just a few clouds around. You see my phone here in the shot. It is up on this stand as we're talking to between 150 and 200 people right now on Facebook Live. And a lot of folks are talking about how nice this weather is and hoping that it would linger into the weekend. The problem is, we're going to see some changes between now and the weekend, and that means our rain chance is going to start increasing a little bit more. But still, we don't think it's going to be a washout heading into the weekend. Here's what we're watching right now on the radar and satellite view. We're not seeing any rain around, and we are seeing a few high, thin clouds. Some of these are really thin. They're not really showing up on the satellite image. The clouds are a little thicker along the South Carolina and the Georgia coast. We even have some of this Atlantic moisture coming in the form of a few showers here along the coastal region. We had some scattered showers in central and South Georgia a little bit earlier today. We're not going to see any rain, excuse me, here in North Georgia tonight or in metro Atlanta, but tomorrow the rain chance does go up just a little bit. Take a look out there right now. This is a look at temperatures around North Georgia. We're still in the 70s at this hour, and I think we'll hold in these right around 70 degrees until about 10, 11 o'clock tonight. And then fall into the 60s. So a milder morning tomorrow morning compared to what we've been dealing with. Stay with us. We're going to talk more about what we're watching for our weather, and we're going to show you what we're watching also with Hurricane Epsilon, which is now a major Category 3 storm. We'll have more on that for you coming up.
All right, Chris, we'll see you in a couple of minutes, sir. Well, there's a new study that says there could be a third spike in COVID infections in long-term care facilities without the proper protections.
Caitlin Ross spoke to care providers about what they want to protect their residents.
The National Healthcare Association says long-term care facilities need more staff, more PPE, and more testing to keep their residents safe. Many state facilities have been depending on money from the CARES Act. That will expire at the end of the year. The problem is that's when long-term care facilities worried they could be hit with a third wave of the virus. Here in Georgia, the numbers inside long-term care facilities have been trending down, a welcome relief after they hit a peak in August. But as infections continue to climb nationally, the executive director of the Georgia Healthcare Association says that will be directly reflected in those long-term care facilities.
We certainly are concerned. Anytime you're entering a period where the flu season is typically going to impact our centers, we certainly are concerned that we would have both COVID and flu in the buildings.
He says the decrease in positive cases is partly due to funding from the CARES Act that allowed them to test all of their staff and residents, quickly isolating people who had been infected. But he says all of that takes money, and it's quickly running out.
This is turning out to be a long fight, that this will not be something that ends quickly.
While there's been a lot of talk about an additional relief package, there's no agreement yet, and the Senate Majority Leader just advised the White House today not to work on another package until after the election.
So as the weather cools down and we begin to move inside, there's a warning from federal officials tonight. Don't let down your guard against the coronavirus. Continue to wear your mask. The Secretary of Health and Human Services at the CDC today talking about the COVID-19 response and the latest on the vaccine. More than half of the country has seen a jump in coronavirus cases. The Midwest is getting hit really hard by it. Experts say warmer weather in Georgia is helping because people can gather outdoors. But the latest White House task force report shows our state is at risk of another outbreak. Health officials are blaming the spike in other parts of the country on colder weather, families gathering, and COVID fatigue.
I recognize that we are all getting tired of the impact that COVID-19 has had on our lives. We get tired of wearing masks, but it continues to be as important as it's ever been, and I would say it's more important than ever as we move into the fall season.
However, Dr. Butler says that they are optimistic a vaccine will be available in limited quantities before the end of the year. Right now, Pfizer is expanding its trial to include adolescents. The company intends to seek emergency use authorization for its vaccine by the end of November.
Georgia is one of the best states for Black-owned businesses. That's according to the most recent information from the U.S. Census. But the pandemic caused businesses to close and people to lose their job. It impacted minority businesses disproportionately, and that made the wealth gap even wider. But it also spurred a movement to create 1 million Black-owned businesses by 2030. Operation Hope is a nonprofit based here in Atlanta and announced a partnership with Shopify. It will bring $130 million to help graduates of its financial literacy program start or expand their businesses. It's a national initiative. 11 Alive has been following other programs helping current Georgia businesses. Invest Atlanta introduced a low-interest loan program last month. It helps businesses on Atlanta's West End, where 40% of businesses closed during the pandemic. We have other resources in place to support small businesses. You can find them on 11alive.com or inside the 11 Alive app.
Black Lives Matter signs are now popping up in neighborhoods. One particular neighborhood in Colorado, families are taking a stand after one neighbor received a message of hate. And as Kim Christensen reports, the neighborhood is now uniting.
We'd like to think we know our neighbors, their kids or their pets. We never really know all of them or their life experiences. Tina, for instance, was deeply moved by the death of George Floyd and dedicated herself to learning more about racial injustice.
I think it's good that it's happening now because tensions have been increasing for such a long time. I think it's good that things are finally starting to change.
She joined the protests as a white ally. She took her mom to a protest too, and they put up a BLM sign in the window of their home.
Ours was in the window. It's a neon colored sign, very bright, very visible.
And then it arrived. A letter, a message of hate about that sign.
She comes running to me with the letter, and I read it, and I wasn't angry. There was no anger from me. It was more of a disappointment that this is a great neighborhood, and that I had a neighbor who didn't have the decency to come speak to us.
Other neighbors kind of, I guess, saw something happening, and so word got around pretty quickly, even before my mom posted it online about what had happened.
The reaction was quick. The response, encouraging.
But the great thing, too, was their attempt at intimidating us backfired, because now, the last time I counted, there's 10 signs now
additional houses
in the neighborhood now. Yep. And many others who, while didn't put a sign up, which is fine, but came over and spoke to us and gave us their support.
So began a dialogue among neighbors, one that goes far beyond friendly pleasantries. A discussion about race and culture in a predominantly white conservative neighborhood. One they wish they could have had with the person who didn't have the courage to meet them.
I'd like to have a discussion to try to not necessarily understand their point of view, but maybe explain why their reaction was inappropriate. Try to understand where the hatred is coming from.
You can be for police officers and the job and the services that they provide and their role, while stressful. You can still be against police brutality.
The sign, it's still there. The invitation still stands. Come, meet the neighbors.
Primetime rolls on in just a bit, but don't forget we are streaming right now on our 11 Alive YouTube channel. You can subscribe and join the conversation in the community section. There's more news and weather after the break.
Message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people, or are you doing this to make money, or both? Both.
Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related.
There's a major development in the opioid crisis. The maker of the painkiller OxyContin is pleading guilty on 3 federal charges. Purdue Pharma could pay up to $8 billion in this settlement. OxyContin is blamed for sparking the opioid epidemic in the United States. The addiction crisis is linked to nearly 500,000 deaths in the last 20 years. You know, we profiled local families impacted by the epidemic in our series called The Triangle. A number of states are not happy with this agreement, arguing there is not enough accountability for the family that actually owns Purdue Pharma. So the deal does not release any of the family members from criminal liability because there is a criminal investigation going on right now.
State Democrats say tens of thousands of Georgians could lose their health care under the governor's new plan. Georgia House Minority Leader Rod Fromell, along with Democratic candidates for the state house, say Medicaid needs to expand in Georgia. They say Governor Kemp's health care waiver plan will cause people to lose access to care and coverage. Fromell says it would also lead, or could also lead, to more rural hospitals closing, which would be devastating to Georgia's poorest families.
Since before the pandemic began, rural hospitals have been in trouble in Georgia and have closed at an alarming rate. This summer, Southwest Georgia Regional Medical Center announced that it was closing its doors. And our rural hospitals are more likely to close because Georgia is a state that hasn't expanded Medicaid when compared to hospitals, similarly situated hospitals in the 38 states that have expanded Medicaid.
Governor Kemp announced last week the Georgia Pathways and Access Program will provide more affordable insurance to those who otherwise could not afford it. His plan offers federally subsidized health insurance to Georgians, but only through private brokers. That's different from the Affordable Care Act marketplace, which uses government-based providers. The governor says it will increase competition among providers and lower premiums. This program does not expand Medicaid. Instead, under a separate measure, some of Georgia's lowest income residents can qualify if they work, volunteer, receive job training, or attend school. Critics say this could significantly reduce access. One analysis by a policy group, the Brookings Institute, says Georgia's healthcare waivers will likely lead to tens of thousands of Georgians losing their healthcare coverage. Their report says the plan would eliminate ACA exchanges as a possible source of health care without incentivizing new insurance business. You'll find more on the plans on 11alive.com.
I'm meteorologist Chris Holcomb from the 11 Alive Storm Trackers. Chuckling a little bit. I was just kind of having fun with some of our folks on Facebook Live. Just under 200 people still with us tonight talking about the weather, also talking about some behind the scenes stuff here at 11 Alive. So if you want to join that conversation while you're watching on TV as well, you can. Just go to my Facebook page, Chris Holcomb 11 Alive, and they're about to see the behind the scenes stuff while I'm doing this weather forecast. We have nice weather out there right now, mostly clear. There are a few clouds around. These clouds, though, some of these that have been moving in are not rain producers. The thicker clouds that we've been seeing some rain from have been over along the South Carolina and Georgia coast and into Florida. And you can see this easterly flow. What's happening is this is picking up a little bit of Atlantic moisture, and that's pushing that in. So far, we haven't had that in our area. But as we go through the next couple of days, we are going to increase the rain chances up to about 20%, which is still really a low rain risk. I really think a lot of us will get through the next couple of days with no rain at all. And then the rain chances come back up a little bit for your Saturday. Take a look out there right now. And this is what we're watching with our temperatures around North Georgia. 72 degrees here in Atlanta. So we're still holding in the 70s. Duluth and Marietta and Canton are also still holding on the 70s. And then on the south side, LaGrange, Thomaston, and also Eatonton are in the 70s. Everybody else is in the 60s. Even Covington, one of the cooler spots, they're at 64 degrees. So a wide range of temperatures that we have around tonight with mostly clear skies and just a few of those little clouds around. It will be mostly clear for the rest of the evening hours. I think we're going to hold at in the 70s until about 11 o'clock, and then falling into the 60s after that, and then moving down into the low to mid 60s here early in the morning, with a few of those clouds that are going to start building in throughout the morning hours tomorrow. And temperatures still going to be warm. You know, today's high was 81. Tomorrow I think we'll hit 80. We're going to go with an 8 on the wasometer tomorrow, as we'll see that mixture of sunshine and clouds, and we are going to go with about a 20% chance for a shower. But again, that risk is really low, and I want to show you what kind of we're talking about here, with that northeasterly flow and then easterly picking up some of that Atlantic moisture, giving us a few clouds mixing in with the sunshine. Not a lot of rain, but there are a few blips that we'll find on the radar tomorrow. Just about a 20% chance you'll get hit by a shower. And then on Friday, I think we'll see a few more clouds around. Rain chance still is going to be at about 20%. A lot of us will get through the day with no rain at all. Then we go up to a 40% chance on Saturday, but even that is not going to be a washout. We'll just have a few scattered showers around. Here's Epsilon. This is based on the 8 p.m. advisory. We'll have another advisory coming in at 11. Category 3 storm, maximum sustained winds at 115 miles an hour. It will not be a direct hit on Bermuda, but it'll come close to Bermuda. They could see tropical storm force winds there, and then the storm quickly moves up toward the north and east and falls apart. And as you can see there, we're not really calling for a landfall here on the coastline of the United States, so that's good news for us. Here's that extended outlook: 20% chance for showers Thursday and Friday, up to a 40% chance Saturday, but not a rain out for the weekend, just kind of scattered showers. Then back to a 30% chance Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Upper 70s for the first part of the week. By the middle of the week, we come down a little bit to the mid 70s.
All right, Chris, thank you. It's been a topic of discussion in Atlanta for years now, whether to change the name of Grady High School. It's named after Henry Grady, a controversial figure in Georgia history because of his reported views on slavery and white supremacy in the late 1800s. Nick Sturdivant has more on the big step taken in changing the school's name.
But we are here for a very important reason, is that we want to make sure that we have a name for our buildings, for our facilities, that is representative of our values.
Tuesday, the naming committee met with one goal: creating a new name for Henry W. Grady High School in Atlanta. The committee was appointed back in early March by Atlanta Public School Board Chair Jason Estevez. For years, there have been rumblings, debates, and even a petition over changing the name. The school is named after Henry Grady, well known in the Atlanta area. He was a journalist and editor who campaigned against equality for freed slaves.
Grady as a symbol represented, white supremacy, things like that.
The committee came into Tuesday's meeting with a narrowed list of 5 potential names.
I do think someone like Ida B. Wells, who is a national figure, is healthy for us.
I believe the students and the faculty also believe that the name Midtown has a certain element of the values that they embrace.
In a majority vote, the committee decided to go with Ida B. Wells. The recommendation will now head to the school board for the final decision.
The committee also discussed the Atlanta School Board's desire to change the name of Grady Stadium as well.
A judge has now ruled that grand jurors in the Brianna Taylor case can speak openly, publicly. Next, how Taylor's family is responding to one juror's public statement.
This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people, or are you doing this to make money, or both?
Both.
Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
The family of Brianna Taylor is now speaking out following a major development in the case. In a rare move here, folks, a judge has now cleared the way for members of the grand jury that heard the case to speak out publicly. Now, typically, grand jury proceedings are kept secret. Meanwhile, one of the officers also involved in the case has broken his silence. Here's NBC's Blaine Alexander.
This morning, in an extremely rare and potentially revealing move, a judge has ruled the 12 grand jurors who heard evidence in the Brianna Taylor case are free to speak publicly. So far, 2 have chosen to stay anonymous, but according to their lawyer, are willing to talk.
They wanted to contribute to the truth and transparency of this proceeding for the benefit of the whole community.
3 officers carried out the raid on Taylor's apartment back in March, one charged with wanton endangerment for shots that entered a neighboring apartment. But the grand jury did not indict any of the officers in Taylor's death. Now, in a bombshell statement, one of those jurors writes, questions were asked about additional charges, and the grand jury was told there would be none because the prosecutors didn't feel they could make them stick. Adding, the grand jury didn't agree that certain actions were justified, nor did it decide the indictment should be the only charges in the Brianna Taylor case. Tamika Palmer is Brianna Taylor's mother.
So when you first read that statement, was that surprising to you?
Not at all. There's no way that, in my opinion, that he could have presented all those facts and nothing came from that.
The use of force.
In a statement, Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron writes, "It was my decision to ask for an indictment on charges that could be proven under Kentucky law. Indictments obtained in the absence of sufficient proof under the law do not stand up." Cameron has said the officers were justified in shooting because Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, fired first, wounding an officer. Walker said he thought it was a home invasion and that officers never announced themselves, but police say they did. Now the officer who was hit is speaking out for the first time.
It's not a race thing like people want to try to make it to be. It's not. This is a point where we were doing our job, we returned fire. This is not us going hunting somebody down. This is not kneeling on a neck.
Now, Taylor's family demanding a special prosecutor take over the case.
I hope to have this thing start over because it's been done wrong from the very beginning.
The pandemic has only worsened the situation for Atlanta's homeless, but there are efforts to help. Next in Primetime, the plan to get almost 1,000 people off the streets by the end of the year.
Frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect.
More people and families are homeless in Atlanta because of the pandemic, significantly more. The Gateway Homeless Center says last year, since that time, there have been almost 30% of an increase in the number of people forced out onto the streets. Bill List, together with photojournalist Stephen Boise, has an in-depth look at what's being done to help.
Since the COVID-19 pandemic began, volunteer organizations keeping count of the unsheltered homeless in downtown Atlanta say their numbers have swelled to more than 1,000. Organizations like Gateway Center started a massive testing program, the first of its kind in the country. And with its partners, they found a downtown hotel to house people who tested positive and a second one for the general unsheltered population. The organizations say they took hundreds of homeless off the streets. And now, with more than $18 million in public funding, they're in need of more available and accessible space.
We have a chance to literally put hundreds of people in units that are on the streets.
But the president of Gateway, Raphael Holloway, says there's still a major obstacle.
But we really need the apartment community to work with us to accept these types of programs on their properties. We are experiencing a lot of renter bias. There are some individuals and companies that do not want to lease to people who are formerly homeless.
The chairman of Gateway, Jack Harden, says that with major funding now available, they've come up with a strategy.
So we're reaching out to a larger network of landlords, utilizing our existing relationships and seeking to expand those. We're also using a strategy called rapid rehousing, in which we put people in apartments and subsidize the rent. And then over time, we will move them from the rapid rehousing units into vouchered units.
How long have you been out here?
Long enough, long time.
An important key to getting the unsheltered off the streets is an intensive effort to make personal contact and conduct one-on-one evaluations. The latest approach is coming from Marta. It's a program called Marta Hope, and it was launched in August. The head of Marta Customer Service, Rhonda Allen, says that since the program began, it's already been successful with more than 50 homeless passengers. Marta and Hope Atlanta teams meet with the homeless along Marta's train and bus routes.
And we find that people would seek refuge on a Marta train or a Marta bus or a Marta bench at a bus stop because they, feel they can kind of blend in perhaps, or they maybe have no other, nowhere else to go. Sometimes it takes multiple engagements to build trust with some of the individuals and to let them know that there are resources available to them. So the intent, though, is to really connect them with the other social services or temporary or permanent housing.
Combined with Marta's new initiative are aggressive efforts on downtown streets, leading one intensive downtown outreach effort to engage and re-engage unsheltered homeless with services that they vitally need is Tammy Hughes of Central Atlanta Progress.
We are out engaging, and we have a number of cell phones that we allow access and allow our homeless citizens to connect with their case managers or their therapists. We have a tablet to do those virtual telemedicine meetings and appointments.
With individual counseling continuing round the clock, both on the ground and on MARTA, and with significant additional funding, the Golden Ring is still additional and accessible housing. Jack Harden predicts that 800 unsheltered homeless will be in housing by year end, with another 1,200 in housing by the end of next year.
Well, we've been enjoying the nice dry weather that we've been dealing with for the past few days, but maybe you've noticed just a little bit of a change where the humidity levels are starting to come up a little bit. As we continue with that easterly flow, we're having a little more humidity, a few more clouds around, and then tomorrow we're going to introduce a low, and I mean a low rain chance for Thursday and also on Friday. So this is our emoji muggy cast, and when you see this emoji right here, that means it's just a little bit humid. When you've got the bright smiley face, that's when it's just really dry, and we had those smiley faces over the weekend and for Monday, but now we're getting a little more moisture. Again, not really in the form of rain. We're going to continue tomorrow with just a few more clouds around. Humidity levels still just a little bit higher. And then on Friday, still just a little bit humid around. There will be some spots with some drier air. Once we get into Saturday, though, look at this emoji, all right? That means the humidity levels are coming up a little bit more. Still not very humid or oppressive, but just a little more humid with additional moisture content in the air. And that's when we're going to see our rain chances up a little bit higher on Saturday, with about a 40% chance for some showers. Once we get into Sunday, still we're going to hold on to about a 30% chance for showers with some humidity around. And that humidity sticks with us next week too, with some low rain chances around. Stay with us. We'll be more specific about those rain chances and the timing of this. And I'm going to spend a little more time on what's happening out in the Atlantic right now with a major Category 3 Hurricane Epsilon.
All right, Chris, thank you. The number of new COVID-19 cases, active patients, and deaths have remained fairly steady the past few weeks, but we're still not below the levels in March that shut down our communities.
Reveal investigator Rebecca Lindstrom spoke with one paramedic about his unique perspective, and he says there is a rush to help those critically ill.
When I was 18 and fresh out of high school, I was terrified of needles, terrified of blood.
Isaac Kelly planned to become a school teacher. Then both of his grandmothers got sick.
Helping my family take care of them, watching them slave over every decision and not know the answers. I wanted to be the one that knew what to do.
Since this pandemic began, more than 30,000 people in Georgia have gone to the hospital, some in a Metro Atlanta ambulance with Kelly there to help. More than 7,600 people have died, and Kelly has been there for that too.
We saw a patient on a Monday that had a fever and thought, I'm concerned that this may be the virus.
The man didn't want to go to the hospital. 6 days later, Kelly was back. The man had gone into cardiac arrest and died.
That's really when, my partner and I looked at each other and we went, this is the real deal.
Kelly is 27. His age group leads in the number of COVID cases. While less likely to die, the virus can still be tough to beat. He's watched for weeks as a coworker shares her personal struggle on social media.
Very nearly had to be put on a ventilator, and she still can't make it up a flight of stairs without stopping halfway. I asked her, I was curious, I said, so compare this to the flu. And she said, it's like the flu that doesn't end.
More than 20,000 Georgia healthcare workers have tested positive. We don't know how many are paramedics. SARS, MRSA, and Ebola helped train staff for this moment, but COVID is far more prevalent.
So now every patient contact, we wear an N95 mask, we wear face shield or eye protection at a minimum. If we suspect they may have COVID-19, we go add a gown.
COVID still accounts for more than 11% of hospital patients. In the central part of the state, it is even greater. Kelly worries what history will say when it tells the story of this pandemic.
My fear is that we're going to realize when this is over, when we learn more about the data, that we lost a lot of people that we didn't have to lose because people weren't taking just the small steps, the small precautions, weren't taking it seriously.
Let's talk about Henry County right now. They're ready to welcome back those high school students whose parents are choosing in-person learning. So starting on Monday, they're going to return to the classroom 5 days a week. This is the final phase of the hybrid learning plan. Now, as with other districts out there, this is optional. According to the district, 36% of the families opted for in-person learning.
High school football certainly looks a lot different this year, and now two teams thousands of miles apart are connecting over a powerful message. 11 Alive's Brittany Klein-Peter shares how an inspirational video made its way all the way from California to Georgia.
Hey, Greater Atlanta Christian School. My name is Brian Burkfeld. I'm the head football coach at Big Valley Christian School.
When the pandemic postponed the high school football season in Modesto, California, one team didn't call it quits. Instead, the players started encouraging other teams to continue to excel in the sport despite the COVID crisis. That's when Big Valley Christian School connected with a school in Norcross.
Greater Atlanta Christian School, we know that you have a big game this week against Cedar Grove, and we're hoping that you have a great week of practice and an amazing game on Friday.
So much respect for a coach that's saying, hey, we can't do some things, but what can we do? Let's make the most of our situation, and really a blessing and an inspiration for us, for sure.
Greater Atlanta Christian quickly replied with its own video message.
We just wanted to say we really appreciate that video. We sat up there and we watched it as a team, and it was real encouragement for us.
I just want to say a word to you and those three young men. Man, good days are ahead. One of the things we say at our program is the best is yet to come.
Big Valley Christian says GAC was the first school to respond to their video message. The California team has sent 5 messages so far to schools across the country, but say the connection they've made with GAC will have a lasting impact.
Thousands of miles away, but we do have this thing in common. I hope they have a great week of practice and that they're able to be successful on the field.
Coming up, we are following the money. A look at just how much local candidates have spent on ads to try and sway your vote.
Plus, you're going to have more on the latest push for the COVID-19 vaccine. One company now researching its effect on children.
/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/.
All right, so whether you're watching on television, scrolling through your phone, or listening to the radio, politics are everywhere, and with the pandemic, reaching voters is more than important than ever. We are being saturated with all those political messages. So how much are these candidates spending to get your vote? Natisha Lance is following the money.
Election rallies, meet and greets, and door-to-door campaigning put on pause during the pandemic.
I would love for people to be on the doors, and you can, from a statistical standpoint, increase a person's likelihood of turning out to vote more if they are personally on the doors. But I also want this to be done safely. And so you can still increase voter turnout through other personal means of contact.
From TV to radio and digital ads, candidates have shelled out so much money during this election, the amount is expected to shatter records. The Center for Responsive Politics projects $10.8 billion will be spent on the 2020 election. For perspective, $7 billion was spent during the 2016 election. NPR reports Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden and President Trump have spent a combined $1 billion on ads, with Biden leading the way.
I'm Carolyn Bordeaux.
Here in Georgia, candidates invested big on the airways too.
He thrives as an ER doctor.
If there weren't competitive races, you wouldn't see candidates and outside groups investing as much money.
In Georgia's 7th congressional district, Democrat Carolyn Bordeaux and Republican Rich McCormick have spent more than $5 million combined. And in the 6th district, Democratic Congresswoman Lucy McBath's campaign has spent more than $5.7 million, and Republican Karen Handel $1.8 million.
So we got some more specific breakdowns on the money, how it's being spent to target your vote, and more of this story is on 11alive.com. Also, we've got a great resource for you. It's the 11 Alive Voter Access Guide. It breaks down information you need for the 2020 election, from casting an absentee ballot to finding wait times online for early voting. We can even send it right to your phone. Just text the number on your screen, 404-885-7600.
If you were thinking it was a little warm today, you're right. We had temperatures that were up to 81 degrees this afternoon, and that's about 10 degrees warmer than what we should be at this time of year. Our average high for this time of year on this date here, as we get in closer to the end of October, should be around 71. So that 81 degree temperature was 10 degrees warmer. And same thing with our morning low. We were 10 degrees warmer than average this morning. We should be waking up this time of year with temperatures in the lower 50s. You know, we had some of that over the weekend, the beginning of the week, but now it is a little milder in the mornings, with lows this morning at 62. I think we'll be around 63 in the morning. It's going to be another mild start to the day. And again, we don't have any rain. It's been very dry, and we still have a really hefty surplus at about 17.5 inches above where we should be in rainfall for the year. Now, when you take a look at the weather headlines, we're going to continue with above average temperatures. We're going to be holding pretty much over the next few afternoons around 80 degrees or upper 70s as we go through the weekend, and then dropping a little bit more in the middle of next week back to the mid 70s. Rain chances are going up, but they're still not huge. We're talking about a 20% chance for showers tomorrow and Friday, then up to a 40% chance on Saturday. So it's not going to be a weekend washout. We're just talking about a 40% chance for scattered showers. The off and on variety, I think that we'll have a lot of dry hours as well going through the day on Saturday too. So we're going to go with an 8 on the wasometer tomorrow. This is our scale from 1 to 11, where an 11 is a perfect day. Remember, temperatures trending above the average at 63 in the morning, highs near 80 in the afternoon. We will see some sunshine, but mixing in with a few more clouds, and we are going to go with about a 20% chance for a shower. It's that east wind. We've been talking about this all week, how it's just going to slowly start building up some moisture, transporting some of that Atlantic moisture our way tomorrow in the form of a few clouds around, just a little bit of green showing up here on the forecast track model, indicating just that low risk for a few of those isolated showers around. On Friday, I do think we'll see a few more clouds around, not as much sunshine, but we're going to keep the rain chance at about 20% for the afternoon hours. Still, many of us will make it through the day without seeing any rain at all. And then on Saturday, that rain chance comes up just a little bit more. Now, let's talk about Epsilon. This is a hurricane, a major hurricane with maximum sustained winds at 115 miles an hour. This is all based on the 8 p.m. intermediate advisory. We'll get another advisory coming in before 11 o'clock. I was just looking at the clock to see it should be coming up within the next hour, maybe an hour from now. We'll be getting that next one in. It's usually a little bit before 11. A Category 2 as it's nearing Bermuda, which is right here. So we don't think it's going to be a direct hit on Bermuda, but it'll be close enough to give the island tropical storm force winds, and that's why they have a tropical storm warning in effect. That would be most likely later on Thursday into early on Friday. Then the storm moves up to the north and then takes a turn to the northeast and races up toward the north and east, and still a Category 1 storm Saturday into Sunday, and then it becomes extra tropical as it moves up to the north. So that curve away is not only away from Bermuda, but also away from the Atlantic coastline. And the spaghetti model plot's pretty much showing that same plot there of the curve away from the United States. So here's that storm. Really impressive looking, isn't it, as a major Category 3 storm. There's another system that we've been watching out in the Caribbean. It's right down here. Earlier yesterday, the Hurricane Center was saying, okay, this has got a 0% chance of developing. Now it's back up to a 20% chance over the next 5 days, but it's not really going to be in the Caribbean. Once this moves over Cuba and over here into the Atlantic, getting closer to the Bahamas, in this development zone right here, that's where it could develop. Again, a low risk for that, but we'll keep an eye on it as we go into next week. It looks like, though, it's not going to get up into the Gulf. It looks like it'll be moving up toward the Atlantic. So we'll watch that for you and let you know if there are any changes in the strength or projections of where that system's going to go. 80 degrees for a high Thursday and Friday, a 20% chance for showers, 40% chance on Saturday, and then a 30% chance Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, with temperatures from the lower 80s Thursday and Friday, upper 70s through the weekend, and then mid-70s by the middle of the week.
All right, Chris, thank you. Let's get you caught up now on some other big headlines we are following tonight. Lawyers say they can't find the parents of 545 migrant children who were separated from their families at the border. About 2/3 of those parents were deported to Central America, according to a filing by the American Civil Liberties Union. The Trump administration instituted a zero-tolerance policy in 2018 that separated migrant children from their parents at the border. The ACLU says children whose parents have not yet been found are living with foster parents or with distant relatives. San Francisco leaders have approved hate crime legislation that allows people to sue over racist 911 calls. The Caution Against Racial and Exploitative Non-Emergencies Act, or the Karen Act, gives the targets of those calls the ability to file a lawsuit against the caller. The law comes amid a national reckoning on race sparked by police killings of Black Americans and instances where white people called for officers to investigate people of color. The drug maker Pfizer has plans to start testing the experimental coronavirus vaccine in children as young as 12. This will be the first coronavirus vaccine trial to include children in the United States. A team at Cincinnati Children's Hospital will begin vaccinating 16 and 17-year-olds this week and will move to enroll 12 to 15-year-olds later. Pfizer is in phase 3 of clinical trials in the United States and has enrolled close to 38,000 volunteers in its trials.
Processing Georgia's rape kit backlog is helping law enforcement identify more than a dozen repeat sex offenders. Now there's more federal money behind that effort.
Nose and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes.
Fulton County is getting $2 million in federal funds with the goal of working through a backlog of unexamined raped kids. As of today, that backlog is more than 1,500.
So this is the point. They hope the money will actually help speed up that process. It will fund the Sex Assault Kit Initiative Task Force for the next 3 years. So its primary goal here was to work through a backlog of rape kits that had never been tested. The problem was first discovered at Grady Hospital in 2015. Some of those kits had been there for 30 years. GBI helped clear the backlog by 2018 and handed off the evidence to the DA to work those unsolved cases. Well, the DA says they used them to identify 156 defendants and at least 16 considered serial sexual offenders. Now, this past February, the GBI said the number of untested rape kits going up once again. They predicted a backlog of 2,000 cases by the end of this year. And once again, as of today, they have more than 1,500 kits waiting to be processed.
It's going to be mainly dry the next couple of days, but we do see the rain chance coming back up a little bit to 20% both Thursday and Friday. Saturday, the rain chance is up a little bit higher to 40%, but as we've been saying, it's not going to be a washout. There'll be a lot of dry hours at times, and then a 30% chance for showers Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, with high temperatures in the upper 70s through the weekend and then mid 70s here through Wednesday.
We're going to see you back here at 11 on our sister station, 11 Alive. We got more news, weather coming up right here on the ATL. Jeff Hullinger is warming up in the bullpen as we speak.
Emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous
11 Alive News Primetime on the ATL starts now.
Tonight, a former Atlanta public school teacher is sentenced for a food stamp scheme, is now a free woman thanks to President Trump. He granted executive clemency to Rashila Reed for defrauding the SNAP and the WIC programs out of millions of dollars. John Sherrick is on that story for us tonight, live in Atlanta. John.
Rashila Reed was accused at trial of taking food out of the mouths of children. Now President Trump says, in effect, that Reed has turned her life around while in prison, so she's getting out early.
Advocates like the nonprofit organization Taking Action for Good have been waging a public lobbying campaign to free former Atlanta public school teacher Rashila Reed.
I don't believe that Rashila even knew what she was stepping into.
Rashila Reed had always insisted that she was an innocent victim of crooks who took advantage of her, and that she was not part of a massive statewide scheme that stole more than $8 million from the food stamp, SNAP, and WIC programs.
I'm just like saying, well, clearly, when you go through the evidence, you'll see that I don't have anything to do with trying to defraud the government.
But Reed was convicted in 2013, sentenced to 14 years. The prosecutor saying that Reed, quote, took food out of the mouths of children who needed the benefits that she helped steal. Now, 7 years later, President Trump granting Reed clemency, ordering her released. Quote, while in prison, Ms. Reed used her teaching background to tutor inmates. Many attest to her innate ability to encourage and uplift others. Ms. Reed accepts full responsibility for her actions and seeks to continue to make a difference in the lives of others.
All right, John Sherrick reporting for us tonight. Senator Kamala Harris will be in Atlanta on Friday, marking the first time that she or presidential candidate Joe Biden have come to Georgia during the 2020 election season. Recent polls showing Biden and President Trump virtually tied in Georgia. Bill Clinton, the last Democrat to win Georgia in 1992, but he lost the state in his bid for re-election 4 years later. Senator Harris in North Carolina today, where she was asked about tomorrow night's final presidential debate.
How is Biden preparing to take on very personal attacks that the Trump campaign and President Trump may wage at him tomorrow at the debate?
I mean, listen, Joe Biden knows that what the American need to hear is they need to hear a conversation about how we're going to put food on the American table when people are standing in food lines. He knows that people want to hear about how we're going to help working people get through the end of the month and pay their rent. That's what people care about. And, you know, one of the things I love about Joe Biden, he doesn't take on or talk about other people's kids.
Senator Harris's trip to Georgia comes the day after the final presidential debate. NBC's Kristen Welker will moderate live from Nashville. You can tune in to 11 Alive beginning at 8 p.m. for special primetime coverage. It is an election of historical means by many definitions, long lines, high interest, and yes, voting in a pandemic. But could voting in person lead to spikes in COVID-19 cases? 11 Alive's Hope Ford breaks down whether it's safe to vote in person or not.
It's been more than a week since early voting started in Georgia, and we've seen the spike in voter participation this year. But nationally, something else is increasing: the number of COVID-19 cases. NBC reports 38 states saw an increase of at least 10% in COVID-positive cases in the last 2 weeks. Could voting in person make things worse? Medical experts don't seem to think so. America's top infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, shed some light on the topic, saying voting in person is about as safe as going to the grocery store.
If you go and wear a mask, observe the physical distancing, and don't have a crowded situation, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do that.
Georgia counties implemented strict COVID-19 rules, which Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger even said played a part in long wait times.
Machines have to be cleaned down, wiped, and so it's just it's a slower, more cumbersome process.
And outside, if we look at the lines again, social distancing and mask wearing is strongly being followed in many cases. But it's up to you, the voter. Mask wearing at the polls cannot be legally enforced.
You can't put any kind of requirement on an individual in order to allow them to vote. We don't want to look like we're screening the voting process.
As for the elections from the summer, like Georgia's June primary, a study from Cornell University shows there was no increase in COVID mortality due to elections held in more than 30 states. Still, medical experts like Dr. Fauci recommend compromised or high-risk people to take advantage of absentee ballots.
More than 2 million votes have been cast in the general election. That's according to the Secretary of State's latest numbers. And to put that in perspective, that is over a quarter of the registered voters who already cast their ballots prior to Election Day. Today, Georgia Tech opened its early voting location at its basketball arena. It is open again tomorrow from 8:30 to 6 p.m. Anybody in Fulton County can vote early there. There has been a big focus on voter access in Fulton County this election. It's why State Farm Arena turned into an early voting location. Hundreds of voting machines available. It makes it quick and easy. In you go, out you go. As of yesterday, just over 23,000 had cast their ballots there, far outpacing other voting locations in the county. Fulton is one of several counties that tracks waits online. DeKalb, Cobb, Forsyth, and Gwinnett also keep track. We have a link to their online portals in our voter guide on 11alive.com/vote. You can also get that sent straight to your phone. Text the word election to 404-885-7600. COVID-19 infection numbers rising across the country. Long-term care facilities that already got hammered by the virus say they are bracing for yet another round, another wave as we head into the cold winter months. Caitlin Ross talked to care providers about what they are doing to prepare.
They're watching those numbers very closely because the number of people infected in any community directly impacts the number of people infected in those long-term care facilities.
If COVID came into one of our care homes, it would kill all of our residents. I mean, we cater to very high care need, high acuity residents. They can't get the flu. They sure can't get COVID.
Senior care expert Brian Levy has been worried about the COVID-19 pandemic from the start. He manages a long-term care facility and says he's been watching how the virus gets into their homes.
COVID really came from family members and caregivers. So, it's our responsibility to monitor our staff, to adjust schedules, to make sure that the least amount of people are coming in and out of the homes.
That's backed up by the National Healthcare Association, which recently released a study about a possible third spike of the virus inside long-term care facilities. The executive director of the Georgia chapter says our state is actually in a better position than most.
We're very fortunate right now that in the state of Georgia, unlike much of the rest of the country, we actually are not seeing a significant increase in cases.
Our own data backs that up, with the number of positive cases in long-term care facilities trending down week after week. But Tony Marshall says the current numbers cannot predict what will happen this winter.
We're particularly concerned because everybody's getting tired. We've gone through an extended period of time where people have been isolated, where people have not been able to meet, where we've not been able to go out and eat like we normally do. And we're afraid that people will be complacent.
The National Healthcare Association is advocating for the federal government to pass another relief bill for long-term care facilities. The money allocated from the CARES Act in March will run out by the end of the year.
The pandemic is not over. That is the message from the CDC and Health and Human Services Secretary, making that clear in Atlanta today. They also say there is some optimism surrounding a vaccine, as experts say that they have seen a trending of increasing cases in 75% of the country. There has not been an in-person press conference for quite some time. Today's goal was to give an update on COVID and Operation Warp Speed, which is the plan to get a vaccine to millions by January. There is hope there will be a limited amount of a vaccine available sooner.
A number of the clinical trials are ongoing and still in a fairly early phase. So I wish we had a crystal ball so that we could look at it. I wish I could say everything is going to go 100% according to plan. But we also know that we have to be ready for if it doesn't.
They predict there could be 1 or 2 vaccines available by the end of the year. By March, they hope to have a vaccine available for all of Americans. As for children, the drug maker Pfizer is starting to test its experimental coronavirus vaccine in children as young as 12. This will be the first COVID trial to include children in the United States, while children represent about 10% of COVID-19 cases in the U.S. There is concern about how the virus may be spread if students all return to the classroom at some point. While several possible vaccines are being tested with adults, vaccines can't be given to children unless they've been tested for that age group. A major development in the opioid crisis, the maker of the painkiller OxyContin has now agreed to plead guilty to 3 federal criminal charges. Purdue Pharma could pay up to $8 billion in the settlement. OxyContin is blamed for sparking the opioid epidemic in the United States, an addiction crisis linked to nearly 500,000 deaths in the last 20 years. A number of states are not happy with the agreement, arguing there isn't enough accountability for the Sackler family, which owns Purdue Pharma. The deal does not release any of the Sacklers from criminal liability, and there is a criminal investigation that is ongoing right now. Chris?
We're watching those clouds that are still trying to build in from the Atlantic with this easterly flow and even a little bit of rain coming in off of the Atlantic along the Georgia coast. Stay with us. We'll let you know if that's going to mean we'll see more clouds tomorrow and if we'll have to introduce a rain chance.
A judge rules that grand jurors in the Brianna Taylor case can speak publicly. How Taylor's family is responding to one of the jurors' statement earlier today. That's coming up next.
Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
The family of Brianna Taylor now speaking out following a major development in her case, a judge clearing the way for members of the grand jury that heard the case to speak publicly. Typically, grand jury proceedings, as you know, are kept secret. And one of the officers involved in the case has broken his silence. Here's NBC's Blaine Alexander.
This morning, in an extremely rare and potentially revealing move, a judge has ruled the 12 grand jurors who heard evidence in the Breonna Taylor case are free to speak publicly. So far, 2 have chosen to stay anonymous, but according to their lawyer, are willing to talk.
They wanted to contribute to the truth and transparency of this proceeding for the benefit of the whole community.
3 officers carried out the raid on Taylor's apartment back in March, one charged with wanton endangerment for shots that entered a neighboring apartment. But the grand jury did not indict any of the officers in Taylor's death. Now, in a bombshell statement, one of those jurors writes, questions were asked about additional charges, and the grand jury was told there would be none because the prosecutors didn't feel they could make them stick. Adding, the grand jury didn't agree that certain actions were justified, nor did it decide the indictment should be the only charges in the Breonna Taylor case. Tamika Palmer is Breonna Taylor's mother.
So when you first read that statement, was that surprising to you?
Not at all. There's no way that, in my opinion, that he could have presented all those facts and nothing came from that.
The use of force.
In a statement, Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron writes, "It was my decision to ask for an indictment on charges that could be proven under Kentucky law. Indictments obtained in the absence of sufficient proof under the law do not stand up." Cameron has said the officers were justified in shooting because Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, fired first, wounding an officer. Walker said he thought it was a home invasion and that officers never announced themselves, but police say they did. Now the officer who was hit is speaking out for the first time.
It's not a race thing like people want to try to make it to be. It's not. This is a point where we were doing our job, we returned fire. This is not us going hunting somebody down. This is not kneeling on a neck.
Now Taylor's family demanding a special prosecutor take over the case.
I hope to have this thing start over because it's been done wrong from the very beginning.
Our chief meteorologist, Chris Holcomb, joins us now. Chris, I got a text from a retired anchorman that I used to work with years ago in Utah. And he was laughing on the text saying he'd like to have $1 for every time his co-anchor tossed to the weather guy and said, "Chris, can I wash my car this weekend?"
And then there's the whole thing about, if it rains, like, oh, you're the one, you washed your car.
Right. That's the other one, yeah.
Yeah, that's why it rained out there. Yeah,
maybe
just wash the car. Exactly.
That's inside baseball for our viewers tonight.
Exactly.
I thought you'd like it.
Well, you can wash your car, but there will be a chance for a few showers around. But the chances are going to be on the low end as we go through the next couple of days. They come up just a little bit heading into Saturday, but even then, it's not going to be a washout. We have mostly clear skies right now. There have been a few high, thin clouds around, no rain from those clouds. The thicker clouds are along the coast of Georgia and the Carolinas. And as you can see here, we still have that easterly flow, and that's picking up a little bit of this Atlantic moisture in the form of some rain coming in along the coastal area. We had some showers earlier in central and south Georgia, but nothing really here in Atlanta. We'll start to pick up a little bit more of that moisture over the next couple of days. And, with some of those clouds building in at sunset tonight, it gave us some nice color in some areas. This is from 11 Alive Community Storm Tracker Carolyn Hill from Calhoun. Isn't that beautiful? The orange right there on the horizon as the sun was going down and mixing in with a few of those clouds. Thanks, Carolyn, for sending that to us. You can be a part of our 11 Alive Storm Tracker team as well. On Facebook, just search Storm Trackers, ask to become a member, and we'll let you in there. 70 degrees right now. Outside the city, it is a little cooler. Now, Rome, you're still holding at 70. So is Eatonton and Thomaston. I meant Duluth is 71. Then Eatonton and Thomaston in the 70s. But we have some cooler temperatures outside the city in the 60s. And we'll watch these temperatures continuing to drop just a little bit during the overnight hours. It's still going to be milder than average in the morning. We should be at this time of year getting down into the lower 50s for morning temperatures. In the morning, we'll be in the low to mid 60s, so that's going to be on the mild side. And then in the afternoon, getting up to 80. We were at 81 today. We'll be close to that tomorrow with some sunshine and a few clouds mixing in and just a 20% chance for a shower. On our scale from 1 to 11, where an 11 is a perfect day, we're going to go with an 8. Now, here's a look tonight. We've got that easterly flow. Still in the morning, we'll have just a few clouds that'll start mixing in with the sunshine at times. At lunchtime, same thing. In the afternoon, just a little green showing up, indicating just that 20% chance for a couple of isolated showers that'll pop up. On Friday, I think we'll see a few more clouds around, but still we're going to go with just a 20% chance for an isolated shower. I think a lot of us will get through the day with not seeing any rain at all. Saturday, it comes up a little bit to 40% for your Saturday afternoon. Now, let me show you what we're watching. Waiting for the latest advisory to come in on Epsilon within the hour here. Right now, still a Category 3 with maximum sustained winds at 115 miles an hour. It'll come close to Bermuda. Not a direct hit on Bermuda, but but it'll be close enough for the island to have some tropical storm force winds. That's why they have a tropical storm watch in effect, or warning actually. And then the system curves away from Bermuda and the United States, so no landfall expected on the United States coastline, and then it becomes extratropical. So just a 20% chance for a shower for us Thursday and Friday, 40% chance Saturday, back to a 30% chance Sunday, and that 30% chance lingers with us into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week too, with temperatures generally in the upper 70s for the weekend and beginning of the week, and then cooling down to the mid 70s by Wednesday. Here's a look at your weather wow moment for the day. This is from Sandra Williams in Dawsonville. Sandra's one of our 11 Alive community storm trackers. You see a lot of green there, but some color. This is at Amicalola State Park up near the Dawsonville area. Beautiful, picturesque scenery, and I think it's only going to get better over the next couple of weeks as those colors start to explode. You can be one of our 11 Alive storm trackers as well. On Facebook, just search 11 Alive storm trackers. Ask to become a member of that group. We'll let you in, and then you can see what other people are posting from their neighborhood, and you can post your weather information from your neighborhood too.
Chris, thank you. Georgia is one of the best states for black-owned businesses. That's according to the most recent information from the U.S. Census. But the pandemic is causing businesses to close and many to lose their jobs. It has impacted minority businesses in a very large way, and that made the wealth gap even wider. But it also spurred a movement to create 1 million black-owned businesses by 2030. Operation Hope is a nonprofit that is based in Atlanta, and it announced a partnership with Shopify. It will bring $130 million to help graduates of its financial literacy program start or expand their businesses. It is a national initiative. 11 Alive has been following other programs helping current Georgia businesses. Invest Atlanta introduced a low-interest loan program last month. It helps businesses on Atlanta's historic West End, where 40% of businesses closed during the pandemic. We'll take a break. We are back more with Primetime right after this.
COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people, or are you doing this to make money, or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Two high school football teams thousands of miles apart are connecting over a powerful message. 11 Alive's Brittany Klein-Peter shares how an inspirational video made its way from California to Georgia.
Hey, Greater Atlanta Christian School. My name is Brian Bergfeld. I'm the head football coach at Big Valley Christian School.
When the pandemic postponed the high school football season in Modesto, California, one team didn't call it quits. Instead, the players started encouraging other teams to continue to excel in the sport despite the COVID crisis. That's when Big Valley Christian School connected with a school in Norcross.
Greater Atlanta Christian School, we know that you have a big game this week against Cedar Grove, and we're hoping that you have a great week of practice and an amazing game on Friday.
So much respect for a coach that's saying, hey, we can't do some things, but what can we do? Let's make the most of our situation, and really a blessing and an inspiration for us, for sure.
Greater Atlanta Christian quickly replied with its own video message.
We just wanted to say we really appreciate that video. We sat up there and we watched it as a team, and it was real encouragement for us.
I just want to say a word to you and those three young men. Man, good days are ahead. One of the things we say in our program is the best is yet to come.
Big Valley Christian says GAC was the first school to respond to their video message. The California team has sent 5 messages so far to schools across the country, but say the connection they've made with GAC will have a lasting impact.
Thousands of miles away, but we do have this thing in common. I hope they have a great week of practice and that they're able to be successful on the field.
The pandemic has only worsened the situation for Atlanta's homeless, but there are efforts to try and help. Next, the plan to get almost 1,000 people off the streets by the end of the year.
Money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands.
More people and families homeless in Atlanta because of the pandemic, a lot more. The Gateway Homeless Center says since last year, there's been a nearly 30% increase in the number of people forced out onto the streets. Bill Liss with our photojournalist, Stephen Boise, with an in-depth look at what is being done to try and help.
Since the COVID-19 pandemic began, volunteer organizations keeping count of the unsheltered homeless in downtown Atlanta say their numbers have swelled to more than 1,000. Organizations like Gateway Center started a massive testing program, the first of its kind in the country. And with its partners, they found a downtown hotel to house people who tested positive and a second one for the general unsheltered population. The organizations say they took hundreds of homeless off the streets. And now with more than $18 million in public funding, they're in need of more available and accessible space.
We have a chance to literally put hundreds of people in units that are on the streets.
But the president of Gateway, Raphael Holloway, says there's still a major obstacle.
But we really need the apartment community to work with us to accept these types of programs on their properties. We are experiencing a lot of renter bias. There are some individuals and companies that do not want to lease to people who are formerly homeless.
The chairman of Gateway, Jack Harden, says that with major funding now available, they've come up with a strategy.
So we're reaching out to a larger network of landlords, utilizing our existing relationships and seeking to expand those. We're also using a strategy called rapid rehousing, in which we put people in apartments and subsidize the rent. And then over time, we will move them from the rapid rehousing units into vouchered units.
How long have you been out here? Long enough. Long time. An important key to getting the unsheltered off the streets is an intensive effort to make personal contact and conduct one-on-one evaluations. The latest approach is coming from Marta. It's a program called Marta Hope, and it was launched in August. The head of Marta Customer Service, Rhonda Allen, says that since the program began, it's already been successful with more than 50 homeless passengers. Marta and Hope Atlanta teams meet with the homeless along Marta's train and bus routes.
And we find that people would seek refuge on a Marta train or a Marta bus or a Marta bench at a bus stop because they, feel they can kind of blend in perhaps, or they maybe have no other, nowhere else to go. Sometimes it takes multiple engagements to build trust with some of the individuals and to let them know that there are resources available to them. So the intent, though, is to really connect them with the other social services or temporary or permanent housing.
Combined with Marta's new initiative are aggressive efforts on downtown streets. Leading one intensive downtown outreach effort to engage and re-engage unsheltered homeless with services that they vitally need is Tammy Hughes of Central Atlanta Progress.
We are out engaging, and we have a number of cell phones that we allow access and allow our homeless citizens to connect with their case managers or their therapists. We have a tablet to do those virtual telemedicine meetings and appointments.
With individual counseling continuing round the clock, both on the ground and on Marta, and with significant additional funding, the golden ring is still additional and accessible housing. Jack Harden predicts that 800 unsheltered homeless will be in housing by year end, with another 1,200 in housing by the end of next year.
The number of new COVID cases, active patients, and deaths have remained fairly steady over the past few weeks, but we're still not below the levels in March that shut down communities. Reveal investigator Rebecca Lindstrom talks with one paramedic about his unique perspective. He sees the rush to help those critically ill.
When I was 18 and fresh out of high school, I was terrified of needles, terrified of blood.
Isaac Kelly planned to become a school teacher. Then both of his grandmothers got sick.
Helping my family take care of them watching them slave over every decision and not know the answers. I wanted to be the one that knew what to do.
Since this pandemic began, more than 30,000 people in Georgia have gone to the hospital, some in a Metro Atlanta ambulance with Kelly there to help. More than 7,600 people have died, and Kelly has been there for that too.
We saw a patient on a Monday that had a fever and thought, I'm concerned that this may be the virus.
The man didn't want to go to the hospital. 6 days later, Kelly was back. The man had gone into cardiac arrest and died.
That's really when, my partner and I looked at each other and we went, this is the real deal.
Kelly is 27. His age group leads in the number of COVID cases. While less likely to die, the virus can still be tough to beat. He's watched for weeks as a coworker shares her personal struggle on social media.
Very nearly had to be put on a ventilator, and she still can't make it up a flight of stairs without stopping halfway. I asked her, I was curious, I said, so compare this to the flu. And she said, it's like the flu that doesn't end.
More than 20,000 Georgia healthcare workers have tested positive. We don't know how many are paramedics. SARS, MRSA, and Ebola helped train staff for this moment, but COVID is far more prevalent.
So now every patient contact, we wear an N95 mask, we wear face shield or eye protection at a minimum. If we suspect they may have COVID-19, we go at a gown.
COVID still accounts for more than 11% of hospital patients. In the central part of the state, it is even greater. Kelly worries what history will say when it tells the story of this pandemic.
My fear is that we're going to realize when this is over, when we learn more about the data, that we lost a lot of people that we didn't have to lose because people weren't taking just the small steps, the small precautions, weren't taking it seriously.
A lot of shock, anger, and horror. That's been the reaction on social media to reports that demonstrators were shot by soldiers in Nigeria amid protests over brutality there. Pain is being felt here in Metro Atlanta. Protesters gathering today outside the consulate of Nigeria in Sandy Springs as another is now planned at Centennial Olympic Park tonight. Witnesses in Lagos say several people were wounded and killed on Tuesday when soldiers barricaded a toll gate and then they opened fire. The continuing protests there have largely focused on a unit known as SARS, which has been accused of torture and extortion. 10 days ago, the Inspector General announced the unit was being disbanded, but the protests have continued with calls for more widespread reform. Advanced Nigeria organization is raising awareness in Metro Atlanta. Members say what's happening in Nigeria is a human rights issue that should not be tolerated anywhere.
Allowing injustice somewhere is going to create space for it to happen again somewhere else. You know, we can't, it's not acceptable anywhere.
We all have the right to say when our government is not providing the basic things that they're supposed to provide for us as citizens, we have the right to protest peacefully, and that there's no crime in that.
Right now, there is no confirmation on the number injured on Tuesday. The state governor of Lagos is denying the reports, calling the shooting an isolated incident. Lawyers say they have not found the parents of 545 migrant children who were separated from their families at the border. About 2/3 of those parents were deported to Central America. According to a filing by the ACLU, the Trump administration instituted a zero-tolerance policy in 2018 that separated migrant children from their parents at the border. The ACLU says children whose parents have yet to be found are living with foster parents or distant relatives. San Francisco leaders have approved hate crime legislation that allows people to sue over 911 calls that are racist. It's known as the Caution Against Racial and Exploitive Non-Emergencies Act, end quote. The acronym is Karen, a nod to the popular meme. The act gives people the ability to sue the caller. The law comes amid a national reckoning on race sparked by the police killings of Black Americans and instances where whites called for officers to investigate Black people. Coming up, we are following the money, a look at how much local candidates have spent on ads to try to influence your vote.
Temperatures today were trending about 10 degrees above the average, and we're going to hold with some of these warm temperatures the next few days. Stay with us. We'll let you know about a rain chance, a cold front moving in, and if we'll cool off behind that front.
We'll talk about the quarterback situation in Athens. All of that straight ahead in sports.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime.
Over 2 million people have already voted either absentee or early in person in Georgia, and we are seeing those numbers from early voting in other states as well. This as the presidential candidates prepare for their final debate tomorrow night. Here's NBC's Alice Barr in Nashville with more.
With less than 2 weeks to go until Election Day, it's all coming down to a handful of battleground states, including Pennsylvania, where tonight former President Barack Obama makes his first appearance on the campaign trail for Joe Biden. The former president making a new appeal to young voters.
In times as polarized as these, your vote doesn't just matter. It matters more than ever before.
President Trump making his pitch in the Keystone State last night.
Pennsylvania, you got to get out and vote. You know, if we win Pennsylvania, we win the whole thing.
The president acknowledging the pandemic has complicated his path to victory.
And then we got hit with the plague, and I had to go back to work. Hello, Erie. May I please have your vote?
This evening, the president heads to another critical swing state he won in 2016, North Carolina, his 7th visit there in the past 2 months. Democrats also making a play for North Carolina, with Biden's running mate Kamala Harris campaigning there today.
Ours is a campaign that has probably built one of the broadest coalitions of any campaign in recent history.
The Biden team reinforcing that unity message in a new ad.
There is so much we can do if we choose to take on problems and not each other.
Biden is off the trail cramming for tomorrow night's debate against President Trump, who's cramming in every chance he can to speak to voters.
Tomorrow, NBC News' Kristen Welker will moderate the debate live from Nashville. Lester Holt, Savannah Guthrie, Chuck Todd, and Andrea Mitchell will lead special NBC News primetime coverage on 11 Alive again at 8 o'clock. Whether you're watching TV or scrolling on your phone or listening to Sirius Radio, political ads are everywhere these days. With the pandemic reaching voters in their homes is more important than ever. The city is being saturated with political messaging. So how much are candidates spending? Natisha Lance follows the money.
Election rallies, meet and greets, and door-to-door campaigning put on pause during the pandemic.
I would love for people to be on the doors, and you can, from a statistical standpoint, increase a person's likelihood of turning out to vote more if they are personally on the doors. But I also want this to be done safely. And so you can still increase voter turnout through other personal means of contact.
From TV to radio and digital ads, candidates have shelled out so much money during this election, the amount is expected to shatter records. The Center for Responsive Politics projects $10.8 billion will be spent on the 2020 election. For perspective, $7 billion was spent during the 2016 election. NPR reports Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden and President Trump have spent a combined $1 billion on ads, with Biden leading the way.
I'm Carolyn Bordeaux.
Here in Georgia, candidates invested big on the airways too.
He thrives as an ER doctor.
If there weren't competitive races, you wouldn't see candidates and outside groups investing as much money.
In Georgia's 7th congressional district, Democrat Carolyn Bordeaux and Republican Rich McCormick have spent more than $5 million combined. And in the 6th district, Democratic Congresswoman Lucy McBath's campaign has spent more than $5.7 million, and Republican Karen Handel $1.8 million.
We have specific breakdowns on the money being spent to try to get your vote in this story on 11alive.com.
We had a really warm day out there today with high temperatures that made it up to 81 degrees, and that is 10 degrees warmer than what we should be for this time of year. The average high for the end of October is around 71. So that was 10 degrees warmer this afternoon, as well as this morning. We were also 10 degrees warmer. We should be at about 52 this time of year. We were at 62. So it's going to be another mild morning tomorrow as well. And, you know, no rain today, but we're still enjoying a really nice surplus. Even though that surplus is starting to shrink a little bit, we're still about 17.5 inches above where we should be in rainfall for the year. We're going to have above average temperatures continuing as we move through the next few days. Today was 81. We're going to hit 80 tomorrow, most likely 80 on Friday as well, and then upper 70s into the weekend. But we're also seeing the rain chances coming up a little bit too. Not huge rain chances. We're talking about a 20% chance on Thursday and Friday, then up to a 40% chance on Saturday. But it won't be a weekend washout. You know, a 40% chance for showers. We're just talking about some scattered showers off and on throughout the day, but not raining all day long. So take a look at temperatures around North Georgia, still holding on to 70 degrees even at this late night hour. It's also 70 in Duluth. Outside the city, we have more 60s around, especially here in the metro area. Still some 70s though in Thomaston and also into Eatonton. Here's a look at the hour by hour. This is during the day tomorrow. We start off with those 60s, but notice how we have a few clouds around. We're not really showing much in the form of rain symbols here because our rain chances are only at 20%. But just know you might have to dodge a shower here and there late in the afternoon, but most of us will stay dry. I also think that we'll get up to around 80 degrees there between 4 and 5 o'clock. That wasn't showing there on the map. We just got our latest advisory in on Hurricane Epsilon. It still has winds of 115 miles an hour. That is a Category 3 storm. We think it'll maintain Category 3 strength over the next 12 hours or so, and then go back to Category 2. We will begin to see some tropical storm force winds along the island of Bermuda, where they have a tropical storm warning in effect, but we don't think it'll be a direct hit. The eye won't move over the island, but they will have some tropical storm force winds, and then continues moving up toward the north and east pretty quickly, and then it becomes extra tropical by late on in the weekend as it moves up toward the north and the east. No impacts here on the coast of the United States. And you can see here the spaghetti model plots pretty much showing that same track moving up toward the north and east without a landfall. And then we have another system that we're watching that is down in the Caribbean that it's just kind of been hanging out there. We've been keeping an eye on it with a low risk of development. Once this moves over Cuba and into the Atlantic here near the Bahamas, that's when it goes up in this development zone here to a 20% chance of development. We'll keep an eye on this, but what's interesting is this, it doesn't look like it's going to move into the Gulf. It looks like it'll move over this way into the Atlantic, so we'll keep an eye on that for you. 7-day forecast. Not bad, only a 20% chance for a shower, but warm the next couple of days, around 80 degrees for a high, and then a 40% chance for showers Saturday with a high of 79, 30% chance Sunday and into next week, with temperatures trending back down to the mid-70s by next Wednesday.
All right, Chris, thank you. Sports on this Wednesday night. We wish the Braves were in the World Series against the Rays. It didn't happen, but Dog fans have somebody to root for wearing Dodger blue. He is pitcher Alex Wood, and he is in the World Series. And a couple of UGA coaches are not surprised that he's chasing his dreams.
If we needed a big game, he was the guy.
From the Classic City to Hollywood, former UGA pitcher Alex Wood in his second World Series with the Dodgers.
When he got that baseball in his hand, man, he was competitive.
The only difference this time, he is watching it from the bullpen. It is the latest chapter in his journey defined by uncertainty.
It hasn't been easy for him. He's gone through a major surgery. He's got the irregular delivery.
Wood was the Dogs' top prospect in 2010.
Went and saw him in that fall. We were sold.
Former UGA head coach David Perno was especially struck by Wood's delivery.
Some call it porky or whatever, but it was him. Created some deception.
An uncertain delivery led to uncertain health. Wood had Tommy John surgery after high school, but still pitched 2 seasons at UGA. A defining moment going up against future superstar Garrett Cole.
Wood outdueled him. Everyone kind of realized Alex Wood is a guy.
He was drafted by the Braves, then traded to Los Angeles.
Alex Wood and Freddie, former teammates.
It became a force, but injuries forced Wood to the bullpen.
It's just a change in mentality. Fully expect him to be in a rotation next year.
Scott Strickland coaches the Dogs now, but he knows Wood well.
Being a professional is getting your job done. Whatever job is given to you, you get your job done.
That work has paid off as the Dodgers chased their first World Series title since 1988.
I talked to him last night. His message was, hey, it's time to get a ring.
A chance at history and a chance at redemption.
He's going to do what it takes to help the Dodgers win a World Series.
UGA on a bye week, which allows controversy to swirl. We want to know what's going on with the UGA quarterback situation in JT Daniels. Why is he still on the bench? Our UGA insider, Roddy Nabulsi, has the insider information.
The question on the fans of a lot of Georgia Bulldog fans is, when will they see JT Daniels, the former 5-star recruit who is playing at USC? Folks want to see him play. And when you saw that Stetson Bennett struggled against Alabama with 3 interceptions, it's always, who's the next man up? But I think the Georgia fans may be cashing their chips a little too early on JT Daniels, simply because he's not the one that won the job to initially start the season. That was Dwan Mathis. So I think if you're expecting to see Kirby Smart make a change, I don't know that you would go to JT Daniels. Also think about this. You have a situation where Georgia's offensive line is not exactly the offensive line you had last year. That offensive line is work in progress. And lots of times the protection breaks down. So you need a quarterback who can tuck it and run it and get out of there. Will JT Daniels start a game this season? It is not out of the realm of possibility, but remember who he's playing for. He's playing for Kirby Smart. He does not want anybody who is going to turn the ball over, and JT Daniels has a history at USC. Granted, he was very young, But you have a situation where JT Daniels, when in practice, we've known him to have a few turnovers. Kirby Smart, that is abhorrent to him, but it's not because of JT Daniels' knee or being still injured. Kirby said he is cleared. Our insiders have told us his knee is fine. He just doesn't have the mobility that I think Kirby Smart needs in his quarterbacks right now.
All right, that's it for sports. A break, and we return.
Message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid.
You'll notice on the 7-day outlook that the rain percentages are on the low end for Thursday and Friday. Only a 20% chance for some showers around. Those will be very isolated. I think a lot of us will make it through those 2 days without seeing any rain at all. But we will see a few more clouds that'll be mixing in with the sunshine at times, especially on Friday. High temperatures both days. We still expect to make it up into the lower 80s, right at 80 degrees. On Saturday, the rain chance is up to 40%, but please know that's not a washout, not raining all day. These are just going to be a few scattered off and on showers around with that high at 79, and then 78 for a high on Sunday with a 30% chance for showers, and then holding on to a 30% chance Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week with temperatures back to the mid-70s Wednesday.
Chris, thank you, and thank you for watching. We appreciate it. Up Late is up front and center on 11 Alive in a couple of minutes. For the team, I'm Jeff Hullinger. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you back here on 11 Alive News Primetime on the Big 36, where news is king.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11 Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during primetime. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11 Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11 Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11 Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11 Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11 Alive today. Right now, a former Atlanta teacher convicted of food stamp fraud